start listening to this podcast, first, this important announcement. Fearless Generation is a foundation with a great team that tries to provide you with the tools to discover, achieve, and live your dreams in a fearless and healthy way despite the circumstances in your life. But we can't do that without your support. You can support us by being a team member, by donating, but also by subscribing to this podcast. Check out our website, www.fearlessgeneration.nl, if you want to donate or become a team member. But for now, first subscribe to this podcast feed right now. And for now, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for subscribing to this podcast feed. And of course, enjoy this great podcast.
So we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It's always a pleasure to come in and bring you new champions. And today we're going to the Netherlands. So first time in the Netherlands. Yes, we had Dutch people, but this time we're going straight into the Netherlands. And we're going to talk to the dream expert. And so you're probably asking yourself, what do you do when you're a dream expert? We'll have the opportunity to know a little bit more about my guest today. My guest is Ricardo Kok. And he is an influencer, an artist, but he works with the young generation, so helping them to own their skills. He will have the opportunity to talk to you, to introduce himself, and to let us know exactly his background and what he's really doing. So we're going to focus our conversation on making sure that we create the right foundation for the culture and for the team. So something very important right now with what's going on, especially, we went through all this time of uncertainty with the pandemic, but now it's time to rebuild. So putting the right foundation and having the right people around becomes very important. So my name is Mirai Tulekima. I think you know me by now. aka the Greatness Engineer. I'm based in Perth in Australia, and I'm really looking forward to have this conversation with Ricardo. So let us know where you're watching from, if you're watching live, and don't hesitate to come in and ask any question to our guest today, or just give your, any insight you have on the subject. So we will start a conversation. I ask you to have, your pen and paper, because that's going to be handy as you, as you take notes and actually make sure you don't lose on what Ricardo is going to share today. So let's go. Let's have Ricardo and start this amazing conversation that I think is going to help you as you build, your foundation for your business, but also make sure that you have the right people around you. Another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Ricardo Kok Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, it's behavior. It's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily actions.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you. dare to be the best version of yourself, impact yourself positively, and from there impact others. And you are not alone.
Yes, thanks for having me, Mariah.
Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you, and we are looking forward to have this conversation. Before we get into the midst of the subject, just wanted you to introduce yourself, to let us know who you are, and anything that is important to know about you.
Anything that's important to know about me now? First, I'm now 32 years old. I'm now do what I'm doing now for 16 years in different forms and different ways. But for the last 2 years, we started a new organization within the pandemic called Fearless Generation, where we try to help young people to discover, reach, and live their dreams in a fearless, healthy, and long-term way, despite the circumstances in life. Because we can't guarantee there won't be negative circumstances, but despite the things you experience in life, you face in life, you can learn to live fearless. You can learn to have a healthy character, to stay on your dream, to live your calling, your purpose, your cause. How do you want to call it? And we do that now with a team of 15 people, young people, but also elders. And despite that, also I give a lot of lectures to leaders and potential leaders. I studied theology, had a master's degree in it since now 2.5 years. I studied philosophy and did a small study in psychology. So, but I also discover a lot of difficulties myself that builds my character to, so that I can do what I can do right now, because it's easy to go to your destination, but it's hard to stay there because it needs some character to stay on your destination. If that will be a big business or a marriage, or you can call what it will be. And that's something I had to learn myself. But now I can give the principles and the stuff to others. And I'm also a father of a beautiful princess of 6 years old.
Fantastic. And that's probably the most challenging thing, because there's no there's no blueprint. We all develop our own blueprint as parents. But it is like when we were talking before the show, it is a very difficult period for a lot of people. I mean, we went through the pandemic. There's been a lot of changes. Things are very volatile. And I can imagine, and I think we've not really paid attention to the young generation when you look at things. Adults have been, very, they've been fighting and trying to find their, trying to survive. But then for the young generation, it's not always easy. So what I wanted to ask you is, what are the key things that you've noticed were really important for the young people or the young adults, and especially the one that want to enter entrepreneurship. What were the key challenge? What do you see are the key challenge right now, and how are you helping them?
Um, yeah, the key challenge in general I can talk about, but let's talk first about in pandemic times. Then we need to first to look at what the main urge is, what they need the most, and in the young generation, what they need the most. One of the things they do is building relationships. Most people, when you're 30, 40, 50 year old, you have a lot of friendship. They are built. They are already built. They are strong. Um, but in pandemic time, because of the lockdowns, you can see people when you're busy with building relationships and you don't see each other very much, it can easily collapse. So we see a lot of young people who are struggling with loneliness. Because of that's one of the main urges when you're young until you're 25, 26 years old, maybe 30. So that's one of the things we see in pandemic. Together with what we already see in general is that a lot of young people, they identity problem is one of the biggest problems in the next generation. And because of social media, because of the work ethic, sometimes their own parents, they are always busy with proving themselves. Uh, Instead of who you are is good enough. Just measure themselves to how social media says that you need to be, how the parent says that you need to be, how school says, and because busy with doing that the whole time, uh, in combined with the pandemic problem about the relationship issue, let's say that way, you see a lot of young people who catch burnout, who catch loneliness, who catch suicide. Now you can name all the consequences of it. And one of the things I try to do is to first help them discover the dream, but the dream is also part of who you really are. And that means that even though you don't do something, you're worthy. You This earth can't be exist without you being here. And that's something you need to realize. There's not without something you do here, without you be here. And that's something we try to achieve in our TV programs, in our podcast, and we do it in a lot of ways, but also one-on-one talking. Um, I don't do business. I am business. What I mostly say. So it's not I don't have work hours and then I do business. But even in my normal life, when I speak to young people, I try to do that because in one moment you can change someone's life for the bad or for the good. So just try to be an influence and help them and let them see that I see them and you're worthy. And that's so, and out of that, building a relationship with them. And from there on, we can help them to step into the dreams in the business and and in that case, entrepreneurs are not so different from normal people, uh, and young entrepreneurs especially not.
And these are really simple things sometimes that we forget is that, we just need to lend, a ear or just ask one question just to see, how they feel and what they need, because, sometimes they're so afraid to ask, especially if they don't feel okay. There's some kind of fear that they have, and they prefer to try to address it themselves, and sometimes it's not actually helping them. It's making the situation worse. So what is the kind of tools that you use, strategies that you use to help you with getting this message through to them and creating a safe space, because I think it's about creating a safe
Yeah,
space
yeah,
for
that's
them to
true.
express themselves. Yeah.
Um, Now, with the thing with young people is you can't use strategies, because the thing with young people, and that's why I love them, is they want realness. You need to be real. You need to be honest, and don't use tricks to get to them because they don't like that. So if you can call to strategy, just being who I am and just showing myself, because most of the time why young people don't ask help is sometimes, even when I look also at my own, now I'm 32 right now, so I'm still a little bit young, but not that young anymore. Even though when I look at my own time was when I was that age, it's not that people don't ask young people how they feel, but because of the measuring and how society tells you a man needs to be, or a girl needs to be, or human beings needs to be, they don't uh, open up with the difficulties, the bad feelings, because they think everything needs to be perfect. It's mostly what I try to do is start with being vulnerable in the things I don't feel okay with. My pains, my worries, my, you can call it what you want, but the bad stuff. And I still have bad stuff. We all have. Just showing them, but it's okay to have also bad feelings or bad stuff. And because I start with that, they feel okay. You don't gonna judge me because you're the same. And out of that, relationship flows, and sometimes it's a relationship for a day. I remember there was a girl 3 weeks ago on an event where I worked as a leader, and there was a big youth event in the Netherlands with 15,000 people. And the whole day I was just connecting, and my team asked me all the time, how can you be just friends with them and have that kind of relationship even though you don't know them? This was my strategy. Uh, but at the end, one of the girls came to me and she said, I don't know what it is, but I came here and I was a little bit depressed, but just talking with you and just hanging around with you, it makes me happy and opens me up. And I don't know if I ever see her anymore, but in that day, I make an influence for the rest of her life. And that's what I try to do. And that's what I try to teach my team, try to teach people in general with young people, but also for elders. In that one moment that you speak to someone, you can have a big influence that will change their life in a positive or a negative way. And the thing is, you need to choose which one do you want to be. And that's something I'm so aware of that responsibility. And that's a little bit my called strategy or tool, but just being myself.
And that's key, because sometimes when you want to be perfect, or you want to use something that is not yours, it can backlash.
Yeah,
So it's
true.
important to to be authentic. It's important to be, and I think vulnerability is an important step, because what we see, and especially looking at social media, we think that everybody is perfect, nobody has problems. So
Yeah,
it can actually, put a lot of pressure on people, and especially
yeah,
on the young generation, to try to think that they have to be perfect. So when they see somebody who also has problem like them, or somebody who is connecting with them, they are happy. They feel like, wow, okay, so I can actually live with my imperfections.
yeah.
I don't have to be perfect, because that's really what create the stress. So how does it impact, because obviously you've been doing this work, you said, for 3 years. So have you seen any impact, in not only to the individual, but to the community where they live, in their families? Because I think that's sometimes the thing that are really important, is that you help one person, but you want to create the ripple effect, so that it can actually go to another level, to the community. So how has it been going?
In the community, I don't have specific examples, but just in mind, I have some examples from some young people that where they were a little bit like the problem child of the family, and because with just hanging around with them, they find the study they want to do, and there was a lot of less arguing in the family with the parents. Just the environment changed because of just hanging around and show them that they're worthy without doing stuff. And I can't call the names, of course, because of the privacy. But I had some young people and that's in the small communities right now, and we're just building up in a slow way, in the way we do it right now. But also from before this last 2 years, um, I know a lot of young people, but also elders, where the family or the schools, the way teachers teach, because I give also guest lectures on schools. Um, I remember 6 years ago, I gave a guest lecture. That's a specific example on a school in the Netherlands, near to Amsterdam. And it was in the time that my daughter was born. And I talk about identity and stuff. And one of the teachers was just struggling with how can I reach this class, this group of young people, because there were for him just anointing kids a little bit. He just hate him. So after the one of the lessons, I gave every class 3 lessons, and at the end of the third lesson, at the end of the second lesson, I said, "Come for the third lesson, sit with us too." And we talked about personalities and the character and the way they build. And after that, 1 month later, he sent me an email, said, I thought you were talking crazy stuff, but to be honest, I just tried to apply it. And when I try to apply it, it works. And I love these kids and I love this class. And I can hand them over now knowledge. And I was just thinking, I knew it, but that are some small examples for the bigger picture. And we're not yet in reaching 100 millions and big community yet, because it's something we need to build. And I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later on. But in that small things, it looks so small, but it's so big for community. So this kind of things happen a lot. And I love to see that and to hear that. Sometimes I don't even know it. Sometimes I don't even know the result on that moment. Sometimes later on that you hear from someone, that and that changed this in my life and in my family and in my environment. and that's 10 years later on that you think, why didn't you say to me? Because that's a bigger boost for me too. But so sometimes you don't even know it on the moment. So don't underestimate what influence you have.
That's beautiful, isn't it? You don't realize you just, work with individual day by day, and by the time you realize you're making an impact for the community, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it, the real beauty of it, and it's important that people remember that even the smallest action that they do is important. They shouldn't underestimate their impact, and that's telling what you've just talked about. So very important. So we're gonna have a short break, and we will be back to continue this conversation. For those who are just joining us, my guest today is Ricardo Kok, the dream expert, based out of the Netherlands, and we are having a very important conversation about having the right foundation for your business and your team, but most important for have the right understand your identity and the impact that you can create when you have this clarity. So don't go anywhere. We will have a few minute break, and we will be back to continue this conversation.
Sorry. I don't hear you. I think you are on mute, Miraya.
Okay, so welcome back to with us. So today my guest is Ricardo Kok, and I hope that for those who have been able to join us from the beginning, that you're enjoying the conversation that we're having, and as you could realize, it is important for you to understand your identity and where you fit, to be able to to create a very positive impact in your life and in the life of others. And one question that I have for you, Ricardo, is as you go through, because you said that you studied, psychology and theology. So how are you using those tools, to do your work? Because we know that young people, especially young people of today, they are always very skeptical about, theology and religion and everything that is around it. So how do you use those tools to help them to, in whatever problem they come with?
Now, the thing is, what I experience and I discover is that most young people, for sure, but people in general, they're not skeptical about theology or religion in a specific way, but more in a general way because of the things they think that is religion. So what I
Mm-hmm.
mainly try to do is a little bit like my mother learned me when I was younger, when I raised up. She always say, sugar doesn't say that it is sweet. So I never say I give you now religion stuff or I'm a Christian or that's not the way I work. I try to build relationship with them, and out of that relationship, I teach them principles. And mostly, let's be honest, they come from the Bible in my case, and
Mm-hmm.
they are also based in psychology because the Bible has a lot of psychology in it. Um, and I know when I teach them and they discover this works, where do you got this knowledge? Then I, because their heart is open and we have a relationship, I can tell them, I find this in the Bible and I'm a Christian, and and they discover, but that's not the way I thought it was. So a lot of times people make their own image of something, and we try to change that image by just words, but you need to find a way that you can prove that the image is wrong. And that's not telling them it's wrong, it's just showing them and helping them to live in the principles and live out of the principles and show them it works. And let's be honest, even medical science, I love science. There's one saying in the Bible, in Proverbs, it says, a happy heart, how do you say it? A happy heart will be better for your health. Just literally translation from Dutch. Um, 6 years ago, there was a medical science that came out that when you are happy, it's better for your health care. And I thought, yeah, but the Bible says it already. So instead of saying you need to believe this or need to believe that, I try them to get them into the principles, learn them the stuff, because a lot of things, even we as entrepreneurs, a lot of principles we try to live to that principle are directly from the Bible. Because the Bible is not a book of rules or a historical book, it is a book of principles. And if you understand the principles, it always works. I guarantee it for 100%. That's the same like everything in this world is a system. If you understand, I play guitar, I understand the system of the guitar, so I can play guitar. But if I don't understand the system of the guitar, it will be a horrible noise. Let's be honest. And that's with everything in life. If you don't understand the system of a woman or a man, you don't have a good marriage because you don't understand the system for a man, how a woman works or how a man works. So you need to understand the system, the principles, and how it works. And if you know how it works and you apply it, I guarantee you, success will not follow. But if you don't, it will be miserable the whole time. Not because you're bad, but you don't understand it. And that's the way I try to work, to learn them the principle, learn them the systems, how it works, get them into there. And on the moment that it will come, they can ask me, where do you get the knowledge from? And then I can tell. But I don't force them force directly.
So and that's a very good strategy, because I think when people start to impose, on you, and we all the same, we are a bit suspicious, and we can, put resistance,
Yeah,
because we don't understand, we are scared, or we think that the person wants to control us. So
mm,
it's even worse with the young generation, where they're still developing. So when they see that you come, as an authoritarian, wanted to impose something, they run away on the other side instead of listening. So that's it's important to connect first. That's what I understand from what you said. And then, when you've connected, and the person is really trusting you, then you can start to elaborate a little bit more on the system, and processes and knowledge
yeah.
that
And even though when I
yes.
share the knowledge, a lot of times I'm not afraid because I'm a Christian, and I meet a lot of pastors also. And pastors, they get scared when I say this, but I'm not afraid to don't call Jesus in my story yet when I explain things. Not because I don't believe it's Jesus, but I'm so sure about the truth that that if, for example, I live in the Netherlands, we have a king in the Netherlands. That's Willem Alexander. If I get someone to live in the Netherlands, get them in the system of the Netherlands and the principles of the Netherlands, I don't even tell you that the king is Willem Alexander because you discover it by yourself. So that's the way I try to work, even though I don't need to tell you who the king is or who has the knowledge and all the kind. Sometimes I can, but that's not my main priority. My priority is get you in the principles, in the system, in the way it works, in the culture, and out of there you will see, oh, but the knowledge comes from the king, and the king is, and that's a little bit the way around. But a lot of people, if you say Jesus is king, they say, yeah, good for you. But they need to experience by themselves that it works. If you don't experience by yourself, it's just how do you call it? Uh, just knowledge without it. It's wisdom is knowledge with experience. It's not even wisdom. It's just a little bit knowledge what you learn in school. But most people, they don't remember the knowledge they learned at school. So I want people to experience that knowledge in their own life, and then it will be a life flowing knowledge, and that's wisdom. And out of there, they find out, oh, the knowledge, this wisdom comes from. So that's what I meant with sugar doesn't tell that it is sweet. I don't need to tell people. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't need to tell people that I'm a Christian. Most of the time people come to me and they say, "You're a Christian, isn't it?" Because they sense something instead of telling them.
And it's always, even even when you teach people, it's always good for them to to digest the knowledge the way they want it. You can share it, but it's better for them to understand how to use it, how and them coming with their own solution. It's like, when you do coaching,
Yeah,
it's, you ask the right question, you give the right knowledge, you share the right experience, but you want them to take their own, to have their
yeah,
own opinion, and then run with it. You don't want to impose your opinion,
true.
because otherwise it's not going to be constructive at all. So
Yeah.
it's an important thing to do. So I mean, you are also an artist. You also write books. So how do you amalgamate everything together? Because it is, doing coaching, it is singing, it is, writing books. So how is it working? What is the harmony in all of this?
So now, yeah, the thing that combined it together is the Dream Expert, and I discovered myself for 2 years ago for sure. To be honest, I got it when I get out of the womb from my mother already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because before that I did all the stuff, but I was thinking, but I need to be specific and what is my expertise. But every topic I spoke about, every song I wrote, people get inspired by it. So I thought, okay, I don't need to stop with it because people get
Mm-hmm.
inspired. But what is the
Mm-hmm.
common ground? And uh, the things I do are just ways to help people discover, reach, and live their dreams. That's the common ground. That's my mission. I'm not for short term, but for long term, and I do that in a lot of ways. That's true
Mm-hmm.
because I have a lot of talents. Yeah, let's be honest. And I love a lot of things to do, but the common ground is that, and through my music you feel that, through the books I write you feel that, to the television programs we make, and sometimes I present, sometimes not, you feel that, and of course in a different way, but that's the core goal in every activity we do. And it just comes in another way because some people they like to listen to a podcast
Mm-hmm.
and others like to listen to music. You can reach them better to music. Others likes more to read a book, and others likes to go to a comedy show. So it are just different forms from the same food. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say it in that way. So it looks a lot, but it's not a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was just, taking one of your quote from your Instagram account, which is live for an extraordinary and supernatural life instead of an ordinary and basic life. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. You want me to explain it a little bit, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
What I meant with this statement, and I say it a lot. Um, when I talk about the ordinary and basic life, I talk about a lot of people try to live the life that others want for them. That's an
Mm-hmm,
ordinary life. That's a life living to the expectations of society, that it looks like you are the same like them. But instead of them, you as a human being, as an entrepreneur, as a young people, as a young adult, as a man or a woman, as a child, doesn't matter who's watching right now, you are built for something higher. You're built for
mm-hmm,
something bigger than just the ordinary living to the expectations of having a house, a wife, and a kid. And I don't say that's bad, but there's
mm-hmm,
so much bigger for you in store. And I always refer to some joke. There was a man, and that's, I think, the best explanation. There was a man on earth, and he's going to die. And when he
mm-hmm,
dies, he goes to heaven, and Jesus is in heaven with him. And they walk to some storage, and a lot of gifts in the storage, but they weren't opened.
mm-hmm,
So they walk, and he's asking Jesus, "What is this?" And Jesus says, "You don't want to know this." So
mm-hmm,
on a certain moment, they come by a room, and his name is on that room. He said, "What's in that room?" Jesus said, "You don't want to open this, but my name is on there." So Jesus said,
mm-hmm,
"Okay, I warn you, but open it." So he opened it, and there were a lot of gifts with his name on it. And he said, "What
mm-hmm,
is this, Jesus?" And Jesus said, "You know, I got all these beautiful gifts to live your best life on earth for you. But because you don't believe in it, I couldn't give it to you." And that's exactly what a lot of people experience. They felt, I live for so much bigger than I do right now, but they don't
mm-hmm,
believe in themselves because, let's be honest, even Christians, when I say, they think I'm crazy, but the whole Bible, God used the Bible to let people believe in themselves,
mm-hmm,
because God doesn't need our belief. Let's be honest. He doesn't need that we believe in him because he's bigger than that. But he needs people to believe in themselves that they can do it with him, to do stuff. If you look at
mm-hmm,
Gideon, Joseph, David, look at them, all these people like us. And a lot of people today, they don't believe in themselves. They don't get that identity, that strong character, that strong foundation, because that's your foundation. And because of that, they don't accomplish what God was made them for. They don't accomplish that beautiful marriage, that big company, that life-changing event, or that they don't write that book, or it doesn't matter what it could be. And I try to get people from that ordinary, s- stupid life, because for me it's stupid, to that extraordinary, supernatural, better life where you're called to be. And that's maybe a little bit different than a lot of people think, but let them think. They are just jealous because you understand what's life meant to be.
So it is so powerful, especially right now with all the uncertainty and all the thing that people go through. I think a lot of people now don't really dream. They don't really dream, and they don't really believe that they can accomplish extraordinary thing, or they don't really believe that they have gift, that were given to them by God, or they don't even believe that they have any greatness inside of them. And
Mm,
that's why really I like this type of conversation, really, to reiterate to people that they understand that they are unlimited, whatever the challenges
yeah,
that they go through. There's always something, there's always an opportunity in this challenge that they can chase, and really step into their power, and use the gift that they have to be able to go to to go to the extra mile, because
yeah,
it's that's what it's all about. Always, outperforming yourself, not comparing yourself to other people, more looking at you, where you are, and how you can go further and further using the gift that you mentioned before. And that's an important process that
mm,
still need to be cemented in a lot of people. And I think that's probably why you call yourself the dream expert, because that's the message that you bring to them. So
mm.
just taking a parenthesis, when did you take this name of the dream expert? Was it given to you, or is it
Uh,
something
it,
that you?
it was given to me because what I said until 2 years, two 2 years, I guess, 2 3 years ago, I was just struggling with my focus, let's call it. And at a certain moment, I discover, but you know what it is? The common ground is dreaming, and it's something when I was younger, still now, because dreaming and see potential where others don't see it. So you see things what others don't see. So I said to my team, the common ground is dreaming. And my team said, we know it already. You're the dream expert. So they knew something without saying it to me. but I had to discover it myself. And because of that, it came up with the name, the dream expert. But it's just mainly for me, the name is more something that I can stay focused instead of, I don't like titles, I don't like functions, because I'm not my function. I'm not, of course, my expertise is in dreaming, and you can call me the dream expert, but higher than that, I'm a Ricardo, and that's enough. And I think that is the foundation that a lot of young people also need to know, but also all elders. I say to a lot of entrepreneurs, I say it 2 weeks ago on a conference, and I said, don't start doing stuff unless you find yourself enough without doing stuff. Because Jesus, before he does any miracle at all, what happened? He go and he baptized himself, and God says, "This is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." That's a compliment without doing stuff. In our Western world, that's crazy, because most of the time, when we say good things about people, when they do stuff, because you got a good report or a good report on school. Son, that's good. You did a good job. But the thing is, it need to if you do that to your children, but also to yourself in that way, then you try always to get the approval out of what you're doing from people. But you can't accomplish your dream unless you learn that you don't need the approval. Of course, I love it when my team says you did a great job, but I don't need the approval of men anymore, because even though when I lay on my couch the whole day watching Netflix, at the end of the day I can say to myself in the mirror, I'm proud of you. It was a very useful day. I couldn't do that 5 years ago, but because of I got I don't got the approval out of men anymore. I don't need it because I'm worthy not of what I'm doing, but of who I am. I can handle, because also we get negativity. Let's be honest, we get challenges. I can handle this kind of stuff because I know, even though when you don't grow so fast as an entrepreneur as you want your business to grow, because you don't gonna blame yourself, you don't gonna blame your team, because it's not your word, your worthiness is not out of what you're doing. Do you understand what I try to say? And that's so important. And a lot of people just they do stuff because they want to be someone. But stop. If you do your business on that foundation, I love you to have a business, but stop with doing it right now, because you're gonna hurt yourself and you're gonna hurt people. If you're doing your marriage out of that, stop with it, because that's the wrong foundation and you're only gonna hurt yourself and others. I did it myself. So I learned from a life experience who did a lot of things wrong and hurt a lot of people, including myself. 1 second. So I need to give her that one. So that was that. But I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's so important, and that's what I try to get into people the most, because this whole society is about that. Even with changing yourself, we live in a self-help society, trying to change yourself. But I write it in one of my books, the first chapter. The basic of change is to stop change yourself, because you can get a real change by trying to change yourself. The thing is, try to find, why am I here? What's my dream? What's my mission? What's my cause? And just surround yourself with people who go in the same direction like you. Your team of your business need to be with people who go in the same direction like you, not in the other direction. Not because those people are bad, but you don't gonna help each other. Either you gonna lay down your dream or they gonna do it. But so, and because of that, you surround yourself with people with the same dream as you. They and got mentors who are further than you become like the people you hang around with. Just the more you hang around with those people, if you hang around whole day with addicted people, I guarantee you on a certain moment you get addicted. That's the way it works. That's also the system that people needs to understand. Change doesn't come by trying to force myself, put the ball in the water, put the ball in the water. But when you relax, what happens with the ball in the water pops up, and there is no change at all. Change your environment, change the people around you, change the things you hear. I don't say that Netflix is bad. Everything you can do, everything you want. But I say to people, if you want to think differently, You need to hear the good stuff. Bullying is a
Mm-hmm.
bad example of that, because people who are bullied a lot, they are ugly. They're gonna believe they are ugly. They're gonna act like they're ugly because they think that their identity is ugliness.
Mm-hmm.
You need to hear stuff, and the stuff you hear, when you hear it enough, it's gonna change your thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
your thinking, that's the foundation of your identity. And because you are like that, you're gonna act. And mostly we try to change our actions, but
Mm-hmm.
try to change your input. What do you hear? What do you see? And I don't say things are bad, but just think about, okay, these things that I listen to right now, or I watched right now, or the people I get around with, I get around in my life. Are these people the people I want to be like? Are these things helpful for the thing I want to accomplish in my life, for the dream I want to accomplish, for the mission, for the cause? Yes or no? And if it is no, I don't say put it away directly. I say just find people, podcasts, or TV shows or books. It doesn't matter. It could be anything that you can do that will help you,
Mm-hmm.
and try to do that stuff and implement that kind of things in your life. And some things some people you hang around with, it stop, but that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But you come new people instead of, and on a certain moment you look back and you think, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
changed without knowing and without striving for change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
so important.
Wow, powerful, powerful. And I hope, whoever was watching or whoever was going to watch the replay, they understand that the importance of having the right people around us, but also the importance of checking that, the people that we have around us are actually adding value to our life, to us, and helping us to grow and to
Yeah.
go to the next level of our greatness, because sometimes we forget to do this checkup. We're so busy doing all kind of things and accepting anyone around us, and we forget to check to say, okay, all those people around us, do we really need them? Are they helping us? Are they, adding value to my life? Are they helping me to grow? Are they helping me to stretch myself? Are they helping me to step into my power and use my gift? So all those questions are very important to ask, and take time to just reflect on everything that we've done so far, and reposition ourselves for better, for growth, and for a better future for ourselves. So,
Mm.
I mean, wow, it's been almost an hour, and I've fairly enjoyed the conversation. Just want to ask you. There's a promotion going on a series of book that you've written. Can you elaborate a little bit more about it, so that
Yes.
any person watching or going to watch the replay can actually get access to it?
Yes. A little bit background. Before Corona time, I write a whole book, but it was not yet published, with
Mm-hmm.
250 pages. I want to call it Fearless. But because we
Mm-hmm.
started the organization Fearless Generation, I thought, but young people, they don't read so much. So
Mm-hmm.
I was busy. I'm still busy because a lot of parts will be published later on this year, with rewriting the book into a 16-part series called Arise and Shine. That's the series name. And the first two books, The System of Success, The Root of Fear, and The Message of the Cross, are already out. So they are very short, with a lot of knowledge, but also practical stuff, but practical in a way. I don't want to that people read that and try to change themselves. Like I said, the first chapter of the first book is the basic of change is not to change yourself, but to help them to get them in line with the missions and make choices in line with the missions without condemn yourself, without judging yourself. So there is a logical how do you say it, a logical
Logical path.
a logical path, thank you, a logical path in the books, 16 parts. And because of this beautiful show, and because of the greatness and the great people they are watching and listening, we as a team wanted to give for the next 3 months, so it's exclusively for the moment that's coming out, so that's today, a 40% discount on every book. And that means, and then you need to go to the website books.fearlessgeneration.nl instead of getting it by Amazon. And that means, for example, in now let's give an example in dollars, that one book will be from $5.35. That is not the normal price, for $3.21. It's 40% discount on every book, not on the total price, because we know for sure a lot of people, they already read it and they get a hold of it and they get blessed by it. It's in Dutch and it's in English, but I think most watchers and viewers, they want to have it in English. But if they want it in Dutch, be my guest. So we want to offer that to this beautiful audience you have, and the greatness people. I can say the greatness engineers, but the greatness people, they are not because of what they're doing, but because of who they are.
And fantastic. So make sure you go on booksfearlessgeneration.nl. That's where you can order the book, and there's a discount of 40%. And the code for the discount is Greatness Engineering 2022 0927. So make sure you take notes and order your book. I mean, it's going to be $3. So it's important. It's nothing for something that you can benefit from and learn from, something that can help you. Like I always say, to go to the next level of your greatness, because that's really, our mission here with this show, to make sure that you understand that you have greatness inside of you, you have gift, and we want you to step into your power and go to the next level of your greatness, learning from our guest, who actually bring, the best here to help you to do exactly that. So before we leave, we leave the platform, what is the key message that you want to leave the audience with before we close out on our conversation?
The key message, we talked also a little bit about it, but it's what I said. Stop with getting approval from men. You don't need the likes. You don't need the views. You don't need the approval on men for your worthiness. You are worthy not of what you're doing, but of who you are. And if you get a hold of that, not only in your mind, but in your emotions, in your spirit, in every cell of your body, then it will change your life. And I guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, you will get a lot of success in your business, in your marriage, in everything. Not because you want the success, but it's flowing naturally. You don't go to strive anymore for it. So if there was a key message, is that, and if you just live your life out of the approval of man, stop with it today. Because every day you do that, it's a waste day. You don't gonna accomplish your mission, your dream, with living in that way.
Fantastic. So I hope you got the message. This is a strong message. You don't need the approval of anyone. Just stop living your life for other people. Live your life for yourself. and make sure you believe, you know, and I think you mentioned that during the show, you believe in the gift that you have and use all the gift, because, you know, the story that you shared was powerful. This person who died and realized that they didn't actually use the gift that were, you know, the gift that they have under their name. So we don't want to finish like that. Make sure you identify all those gifts and make sure you open all those gifts and use them before you depart from this world. So that has been a very powerful conversation, and I really want to thank you, Ricardo, for your time, for your insight, and for your inspiration, because I got really inspired today by your message. And I really, you know, commend you for the work that you do, especially with you know, the youth and young adults, to make sure that they understand the, you know, the value and have clarity, you know, for, you know, for their identity, and become confident to become the best version of themselves, because that's really what we all want to aspire with. So
Thank
thank you
you
very
for the
much.
privilege, and thank you for this beautiful show and the mission you want to accomplish to let the engineers and entrepreneurs see their greatness. And love what you're doing. You inspire me too. And
Thank you so much.
my cat is inspired too.
Ah, the cat is inspired. So, hello to the cat. It's, you know, it's a shame that we don't have much time, but we make sure to bring back Ricardo and have the cat participate as well. So that would be a great one to have. So until then, I just want to say bye bye to everyone. I will be back for another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show next week. So make sure you join us. And please, you know, go on Books Fearless Generation NL, and I will pop in again the code in the comment, especially for those who are going to have the replay, and make sure that you get your copy and of the series of book that Ricardo has written. So until then, bye bye. Enjoy the rest of your day, Ricardo.
Thank
And
you.
thank you again for gracing the platform of the Greatness Engineering Hour show.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.